right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back for another episode of Chef Life Live. I, of course, am your host, Chef Alex Ottusch. Chef Life Live is where I interview the very diverse food service industry and the people that comprise it. Everyone's got such an amazing story to tell, so this is just a platform to help them tell it. My guest tonight, I'm very excited to have on. I should have had him on a really long time ago because when I really thought about it, I kind of owe my entire career to him. I met him in the Navy. He came on my ship as a civilian, told me about a good culinary school in Jacksonville to go to, and kind of snowballed from there. I went to culinary school, ended up learning about Grand Acats and Alinea, which brought me to Chicago, which of course led me to my amazing wife-to-be, and the rest is history. So I do owe a lot to him, and I'm very excited to have him on. But just to give you a little background about him, Chef Amadeus was the winner of Food Network's Extreme Chef Mexican Showdown, a founding member of American Culinary Federation Mid-Florida East Coast Chapter, past president of American Culinary Federation First Coast Chapter, reoccurring guest chef on The Lowdown with James Yon, and creator of Southern Passion Spices, a salt-free line of spices. Chef was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. He grew up cooking with his grandmother, who was from Puerto Rico, and mother from Philadelphia. It was at the apron strings of his grandmother and mother that his love for cooking was ignited. So I will bring him on, and we will get to know him just a little bit better. What's up, Chef?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain at all, man. Life is good. Life is good.
That's good. Must be tired before the show started. You're saying you just drove from Atlanta this morning back to Jacksonville, and so you must be pretty tired.
I am. I spent the weekend in Atlanta with meetings and cooking and everything like that. So I had to get back here to do this interview because I need to hear me get back. So.
Well, I appreciate you making it back for us. So just start. We'll kick things off. Just keep going. Just a couple icebreaker questions, just to kind of get to know some base level stuff about you. What was one of your favorite meals your grandmother would cook you when you were a kid?
The favorite meal, she used to do the rice and peas was always good. But the one meal that I remember like it was yesterday is her oatmeal.
Oatmeal.
And I promise you, this was the best oatmeal I have ever had in my entire life. And when she passed away, I stopped eating oatmeal because I couldn't find anybody or any way to do it like she did it. And I've tried many ways, even myself. I've tried many ways to figure out what she did and how she did it. But you know what they say, your grandmama got a bunch of love to put in the pot, and so she did her thing. Oatmeal was a really big one, but being in the kitchen with my grandmother cooking was always a special time. Like just making rice with her, seasoning things, making different we make sofrito a lot of that. And so I remember sitting there chopping everything up with her and everything like that. And it was just a lot of fun for me to be in the kitchen. I was comfortable in the kitchen. So, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I feel like most of us kind of grew up with either our mom or our grandmother in the kitchen that kind of gave us that inspiration. We all had those favorites that we just can't recreate. It's like my oma, she makes German potato salad, and I have not met anyone who can make it the same. It's the simplest recipe. It's not hard, but it's just, I don't know what it is.
It's just those little nuances. Because I tell people all the time, I don't want to make your favorite dish you grew up with because I won't be able to recreate it. Because people have that palate, that flavors on your palate for years and years. So I always go back to Ratatouille when that food critic ate that ratatouille and he took him back to when he was sitting. That's a great culinary experience when you take one bite and you back as a kid sitting at your grandmother's table or your father's barbecue pit or whatever it is. That's the experience that I try to give all the time, because not only
That's a
does
high
it make
bar.
you, it make me great too. Make me feel good.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why we do it, right? We like to kind of inspire emotion through our cooking, in a way.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. So you are from Jacksonville originally. What was the food scene like growing up there? I would imagine a lot of tacos, barbecue kind of stuff, classic Southern things, or beach loving food.
Me growing up, it was always a crab boil on the weekends.
Okay.
We get a big foot tub, put all the corn, potatoes, egg, everything in the pot, and we cook that. The food that I grew up on was so in the household, it was a lot of Puerto Rican and Southern foods coming together. But in the neighborhood, I mean, I was a typical kid. You know, I went to the boys' club. We had that was a lot of fun going to the boys' club. But we eat at the boys' club. We eat like hot dogs and things like that.
Yeah.
But when I came home, it was always something that my mom could put together. We had breakfast, and we'll come back and because back then the kids go out for 12 hours and don't come back till
right. Yeah.
Don't come back. But yeah, like I say, my mom would cook. There's a dish that my mom cooks that I cook it today, but I add a little twist on it. It's spaghetti, bacon, and onions. And she would make that, and literally I make that with a little, little flair to it. And people are like, oh my God, it's the best dish. So that's my mom's dish, man.
Right? Yeah. I know. My grandma's got a spaghetti recipe that's got just like a bunch of bacon, ground beef, and like the canned tomato soup, which is like very old school. And yeah, and I love making that. It's so good. I
think it's those simple things that you grew up with that is a base. As a chef, I take everything I learned as a kid with mom, grandmother, and all that. And then now that I'm a chef, I just, I keep the same flavor profile. I just change the presentation of it.
That makes sense. Yeah, anytime I do a recipe like from my grandmother or anybody, the only thing I'll like really change is just the seasoning, like slightly of like maybe just adding a little bit more salt. Like my grandmother's spaghetti sauce, it had like a ridiculous amount of parsley, like dried parsley. It was good. I was like, now that I'm a little more trained, I'm like, all right, we can add a little bit more. We can do some more pepper, some more salt, maybe some chili flakes in there. Just kind of expand on it slightly.
Right.
Yeah.
You as you get older, you like in the industry, you start doing collaborations with other chefs. You start seeing more things. You go to conferences. You go to these different events, and you're like, that'd be good in my mom's potato salad or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And for me, I love to watch my mom cook. She don't cook as much, but watching elderly people cook, it's a freaking joy because they are the ones that cook with a true passion because they don't have recipes, they don't have measuring cups, they don't have none of that. Yeah. But the food comes out consistently every single time, and it is just amazing. So so that's one of the places things I like to do is talk to the elders and see what they ate as a kid, and you'll be amazed on what when I'm doing demos. I always have like one or two grandmothers come up to me and tell me, I did this dish, that dish reminded them of this, but this how we did it, and you can see their grandkids like, oh my God, why is she going there? But for me, I love it. I love talking to the elderly because they have a true calming sense of their food.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you do meet the ones that like didn't really grow up cooking, or they grew up with like the prepackaged stuff all the time. They're like, oh, I would do this with this, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds good, but yeah, I've definitely met some of those, but yeah. That is true. Talking to anyone that's elderly who knows how to cook and just learning about how they did stuff with like the little things that they had and just threw stuff in a pot and whatever and made something delicious. So it's pretty great.
It is really nice to see. Like when I go to talk to, when I do collaboration with different chefs, my goal is to, like, every ethnic food that I know how to do, I learn from that business or from that family. And it's just been amazing to watch. I always say I want to know what grandmother cooks, not your mom, but I want to know what your grandmother cooks. And it's amazing how that puts a smile on chef's face when I ask that, because they're like, wow, okay, my grandma used to make this. And then now they start playing with dishes that they had as a kid instead of wrapping their head around this thing today. I like going back to the past and getting some ideas. Like I had a cookbook from 1932. The crab cake recipe was an egg, breadcrumbs, salt and pepper. That was it.
That's some bare bones crab cake right there.
So as a chef, because every recipe that you see now for crab cake has like 14 different ingredients to it, and everybody want to upgrade this, upgrade that. But sometimes people put too much into a crab cake, and you don't get the taste of crab. So that's why I tell people all the time, go for the basics and just uplift it. You ain't got to cover it. Yeah. Just lift it up a little bit. And believe it or not, some of the smallest little unique things that you can do to it will make it pop even a lot more than what it is. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like to tell myself that like less is more, and that's like kind of my approach to cooking is less is more.
Right.
But then there's plenty of times where I lose track of it. I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this and this, and then I'll have this on there, and just go off the rails. And it's like, all right, we need to rein it in.
You can get that way very easily. Now I'm gonna tell you this here. I don't know if you have experienced. I'm pretty sure you have. One of the things I always tell people this, especially like the culinary students or the ones just graduated who call themselves chefs.
Chefs, yeah.
I always tell them this. I said, let me explain to you what is going to happen. I say, you call yourself a chef, and then you go hang out with chefs that have been cooking for 20, 30 years, and you believe in your heart and soul that you can hang with them. I said, the process goes like this. Chefs get to drinking, talking about food, about experiences, and one chef is going to say, well, why don't we go in my kitchen and do some cooking? Now,
yeah, absolutely.
To you, as a student or graduate that just call yourself a chef, you think we going in there to, try some little things. What you don't realize is it's about to be a competition going on in the kitchen, because everybody's bringing out stuff they had in the bottom of the bag, stuck in the corner somewhere. Yeah. And you coming up with this, right? And you're coming up with this dish, like everybody looking at you like, okay, dude, whatever.
A swoosh of sauce on the bottom with like just something really basic that you picked up in culinary school.
I always tell those folks this: you rather be judged as a cook than a chef. Because if you're around a bunch of chefs and you make a mistake, we will correct you on your mistake. But if you call yourself a chef and you make a mistake, yeah, hell has no fury how bad we're gonna mess with you.
That is true. That is very true. Yeah, someone, or not even if they call themselves a chef, but the cooks who have maybe worked at a couple of really nice places and like go somewhere else and then try and talk all this stuff. I worked here and I worked there, and they make one mistake. You're like, all right, here we go. Where's all that training now? Here we go. Yeah, that was always. I always enjoyed running into those people of like getting to knock them down a little bit, where it's like just calm down. You got some talent. I'll give you.
Here's the thing. I figured out a way to knock down people without knocking them down. I let them understand how much they don't know. I had someone that was bragging about how good they are and all this stuff here. I took them to a pro start competition. And they looked at me like, how old are these kids? I said, these kids are 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. We went to a Skills USA competition. It was like, how old are these kids? I say, these kids are 16, 17, 18. It's like, man, I say, so you think you're better than everybody else that walks the planet. And here we have 16-year-old kids doing things that make chefs blush. Okay. Mm-hmm. I've seen chefs talk to the student and say, can I put that on my menu? And you're around here bragging about what you can do. And so you're more about the flair than the passion. So you want to be a peacock and let everybody know that you're a chef or whatever it is, but you have no meat on the bone. So I agree. Some people have to be knocked down a peg or two.
Absolutely.
Because they believe in their hearts of hearts that they're the best thing since sliced bread in this industry. And it's the ones that are humble enough to stay humble. Yes.
Yeah. Until you reach that, I feel like until you reach that next level of doing something completely innovative that no one has seen before, like just take a step back. Like there's definitely those chefs out there who like Grant Achatz, Renee from Noma, they're they've accomplished some next level stuff, and there's many more, but it's like
I mean it's amazing that when they come out, like, so one of the things I do that most people don't do is I'm into dehydrating. So I dehydrate a lot of stuff, and I use it, like I'll make a soup. And then whatever's left over, I would dehydrate it and turn it into a powder, and then I use it to season something else. So if I make a black bean soup, I'll dehydrate that soup, grind it up to a powder, and I'll use it to, I add my spices to it, the little bump. Or what I like to do with the black bean is my southern rub that goes on ribs and chicken. I'll add that black bean to that, and it just lifts it up. The summertime's coming up, and one of the things I'm known for with my southern rub is I add blackberry and watermelon to the blend.
Ooh. Wow!
And so it gives me back. It gives you that wonderful grill, and then in the back you taste blackberries and watermelon. Oh, it's so good. So
that sounds really good.
Oh, dude, it's. Oh yeah, I only do it during the summertime when you can really get some good blackberries and some really. I'm from down south, so in some sweet watermelon, that is always fun to do. When dehydrating watermelon is fun. It's literally fun.
What's left of it after you get all the moisture out?
So what you do is you get the watermelon, put it on a dehydrated rack, and you watch it, and it'll come to a point where it becomes almost like a chip. And what I do with that chip is I'll make a watermelon ceviche and use that watermelon chip to scoop it up with. And then I'll take the rest of the stuff, dehydrate it, and make it into a powder. And then I'll add salt to it and make a watermelon margarita and rim the glass with that. Or I'll make a watermelon sugar and make a dessert with it. So like I said, just playing with the dehydrator, man, is always kind of fun.
Dehydrate. All right, that's the next thing. Putting that, Julie, if you're watching, that's going on our registry for the wedding is the dehydrator. The next one.
And here's the thing, though, Chef. Here's the thing: the dehydrator that I use, it's not the Excalibur. It's one I got from Walmart. So it's not like I spent hundreds of dollars on it. It's $25, $30 or whatever it is. So. Well,
we can get a mid-level one because if somebody else is paying for it, then for the registry, that's fine.
If somebody else paying for it, I want the one with all the racks. Got 14, 7, 8 racks in it or whatever. That's the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if I got that one, man.
Definitely. All right, so we're gonna keep going since we've been talking. It's going great. We kind of missed over more of the icebreaker questions, but that's fine. I feel like we're getting a sense of who you are and everything. So we're going to dive a little deeper. We're going to go into everyone's favorite section of questioning, which of course requires no garnish.
No garnish.
Got that production value, you know?
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, we'll tag, you know? No, not all food needs garnish, you know? It is what it is. Bare bones, less is more.
Okay, let's do this.
All right. So first of all, I've been asking most of my guests this because it's kind of interesting depending on their level. Someone like you who's been around a while, you've risen to a certain level of success. Like, how do you feel about being interviewed, talking about yourself? You know, how does that feel?
Actually, it feels really good because when I do interviews, I get an opportunity to talk about the passion of not just cooking, but helping out the younger cooks and chefs. I love doing that because, like I said, I sit on a culinary advisory board with 2 different high schools, one in Jacksonville, one in St. Augustine. So I'm really into working with the kids and giving them a role model and introducing them to chefs and different opportunities in this industry. So yeah, I enjoy everything about, you know, being interviewed, as long as it's, you know, I get to talk about not just me, but my passion about what I love to do and giving back to those that need some help.
Absolutely. Very well said. Makes sense. I mean, hey, like I said before, you know, you definitely helped me. I mean, I wouldn't have known about, you know, Florida State College of Jacksonville, the culinary program at all. So yeah, I mean, you were a driving force for me for sure to get out there.
I'm glad I can help you out with that.
Absolutely. You know, you said that you learned a lot from your mother and your grandmother. You know, what was that driving force after like learning from them? Like, when did you know that you wanted to be a chef? Like, what was that point? You know?
Oh wow! Believe it or not,
if you can narrow it down,
it was never my intent to become a chef. So I cooked in the Navy.
Right.
And then when I got out the Navy, I was sitting at my mom's house going through the paper and saw this thing said Culinary School in Kissimmee. So I hopped on the Greyhound bus, went to Kissimmee, came back, told my mom I was going to cooking school. She's like, okay. And then when I got done with that, I came back to Jacksonville. And because cooking was one of those things that I could do that to me took no effort for it, because I love to cook. Okay, really enjoy cooking. But one of the other main reasons that I went to cooking was because I used to get picked on a lot when I was a kid, you know, growing up and everything. And then cooking became that one thing that no matter how tall you are or how short you are, you still can, you know, it levels the playing field. Yeah. And so, that's why I dove into the cooking, because it's like my mind is creative and I have no barriers. There's no reason why I can't do anything. Anything in this industry I don't do, I choose not to do. It's not like, well, you're too short, you can't do this. Right. So when I walk into a kitchen, or any food environment, a lot of people say I have this big man syndrome, where I walk in like I'm cool. Look, I can go with the best of it. Even when I was on the Food Network, it's in my head. I was like, if we all have the same ingredients, there's no way I can't be that creative and possibly win this thing. I mean, that was in my head. Like, if all I gotta do is cook, I can be creative and everything like that. And my dishes that I did on the show was very creative. And my dessert that I did, they tore my dessert up. They was like, this is too tough. This is whatever. But because I know that's not my lane, I was like, all right.
Right, yeah. Okay. Not a pastry chef. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'll do desserts. All right. Only reason I did one because y'all asked for one. I would never volunteer to do a dessert.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't have the experience with doing desserts or pastry, like, that's something you just don't touch. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't do. So when they were talking about my dessert, some people were like, I can't believe they said about you. I had one of my friends there. She's a pastry chef. She's like, he's not mad because he know that's not what he do. And I was very comfortable.
Yeah.
For them to rip me a new one on my dessert.
That's good. They didn't, take it personally. Obviously, if it's something you're not really that great at, then it would make sense that it didn't come out that great. But did you have any prior culinary experience before joining the Navy? Other than just like cooking at home and everything?
I worked at #1 steakhouse in the country, McDonald's.
Okay. Nice. Was that the #1 steakhouse or that plus McDonald's?
No, the #1 steakhouse in the country is McDonald's.
Oh, it is? Okay. I mean, they probably slaughter the most beef out of any.
No. So my first job was at McDonald's.
Okay.
And this is back when they actually cooked at McDonald's. You season the burgers, the whole 9 yards. And
okay.
That was a great experience because the owner of the place, he wanted to make sure that any kid that went to his church had a job. You had no choice. Either you get a job or work for him. But either way, you go get a job. And so when I went to work at McDonald's, I did McDonald's all through high school while playing sports. And I learned a lot about presentation. I learned about the teamwork, cross training, the whole 9 yards from McDonald's. And then from McDonald's, I worked at a place called Shoney's. After school, sure. I would go there and wash dishes. I was washing dishes. So
nice.
Those are the two jobs I had before going to the military. And then after when I went in the military, I went in as a decade. So I was chipping paint and painting the ships. And then I became a cook.
Okay, I was just about to ask, like, did you join the Navy to become a cook, or you just joined?
I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in the Navy. I had no idea. I just like, hey, you want to come to the Navy? So sure.
We're very similar because that's pretty much how I joined the Navy. I was like, went in and I was like, yeah, all right, let's do it. And then I ended up being in deck as well. I was chipping paint, and then I became a cook. Yeah.
It was one of and see, when I went in, I was 105 pounds. Okay. So they would hang me over the side like a little tea bag.
I'm sure,
When they put me over the side, man, they would hang the rope over the railing and put their foot on it. That's how light I was. And then when it's time for me to move, this guy named Smitty, he's like 6'4", he would reach down, pick me up like this here, and move me over to where I need to go.
Things have changed now. They would never allow that. I mean, I'm sure now, but when I was in, that was no. That's really funny how things change. So I'm sure somebody else was doing the exact same thing, and they dropped him, and they're like, "All right, no more of that." I'm sure that's exactly what happened, but who knows? Did you have any other interests in the Navy other than cooking? Did you want to go do anything else after being in deck, or was just cooking available?
Well, no. I've actually. So there's a lot of older men on the boat that you can talk to about anything, and they'll be more than happy to tell you. Well, I was hanging out with the gunner's mates, and I was about to strike to be a gunner's mate.
Okay.
And one of the guys, Jim One Harrigan, he said to me, he said, "Why do you want to be a gunner's mate?" I said, "Because I like hanging out with you guys." He said, "You can hang out with us without being a gunner's mate." I was like, "Really?" He said, I was like 19 years old, man. I didn't know that.
Right.
And he was like, "Yeah, you still can hang out with us if you're not a gunner's mate. So pick something that you really like to do." And when I went mess cranking, we went mess cranking when I was in the shipyards. So we had a skeleton crew on the weekend. So on the weekend I was bored. So I'm carving carrots into different things and just one of them things. And then my senior chief came in one day and asked me if I wanted to become a cook. He told me
Yeah.
he'll help with my friend too. And I said, all right, let's do this. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's also similar. I didn't try to. I think I looked at gunner's mate as an option, but it wasn't because I didn't really care that much about guns. But I was like, oh, that could be a pretty decent job to have on here. But started kind of hanging out more with the CSs and everything, and I was like, you know what? I like cooking a lot. I wanted to do it before the Navy and everything, and so it's like let's go for it. Let's give it a shot. That's what happened.
Yeah. It's a fun rate if it's done right, and if the boss that you have is a team player and not a good person. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's fair. That's real. It took us a while for our division to kind of get our stride and get a good team in there and like get people who like really cared, and things definitely turned around. We made some really good food. I mean, it's like being a cook in the Navy for me. It feels like being a cook not in the Navy. Like you work all the time. You got like early mornings, late nights a lot of the times, and most of the time the people don't appreciate what you're doing. And so like we took a lot of flack from people of like they wanted more food or whatever and complaining about being hungry. I'm like, whatever, man. I would always tell them like my job isn't to make you full. It's to make sure you don't die of starvation. So keep moving.
He said, make sure you don't die from starvation. Okay.
That was it. But then they would get like so mad because we would, dinner would be over. We had to serve like chicken and rice or something, and we'd come out with like homemade pizzas or like egg sandwiches or something like really awesome, and they'd be like, "Oh, that must be nice." I'm like, "Hey, choose your rate, choose your fate. This is my perk. I get the food."
We say the same thing. Look,
absolutely.
You chose your rate.
Right. Yeah.
Don't be mad at us.
I don't have to stand. Yeah, I got to work a lot more, but I don't have to stand and watch like you guys. I can eat whatever I want because we have the food. So.
Well, you know what? When I got out the Navy, I remember going to my first job. It was at a hotel. And the guy told me in the interview, he said, you can appreciate this being in the Navy. He told me they work long hours. I said, okay, what do you call long hours? He said, well, it's a good 8-hour day, 9-hour day. I'm like, that's it? So what I would do is I was doing breakfast and lunch. And the guy in the back who was doing banquets and dinners, he was a MS in the Navy Reserve. So I would get there about 5 o'clock in the morning, do my whole shift, got off at 3, and go in the back and help him out, just hanging out with him and everything. People are like, aren't you tired? I said, dude, this is a regular day in the Navy.
Yeah.
13, 14 hours, not a problem.
I mean, I've heard hotels can kind of be like that with that kind of strict 8-hour shift because a lot of them have like unions and everything. But like, I don't know. I have never worked in a restaurant where my shift was 8 hours. It's always been at least 10 to start.
Marriott, like when I worked at the Marriott, you work from 6 to 2, and then you work from 2 to 10. And yeah, so it was. I'm used to working, straight 14 hours. You come in at 5 in the morning, you don't leave till like 9, 10 o'clock at night and get right back up in the morning and do it again. So with that mentality, you telling me you're going to work me 8 hours. I'm like, okay, cool. I got something else to do. I can do something else after that. I'm not even tired.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 8 hours sounds great. For a regular work job.
What do you say? Sounds great. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Only 8 hours? That's pretty nice. But so how did you then end up at Florida State College at Jacksonville? Because you said you went to another culinary school, right?
Yeah. And then so that school, like I said, it was a 3-month school. Like I said, when I got in Navy, I was like 20, 21, somewhere around there. And I just didn't know what to do when I got out. Had no idea. I saw cooking. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I cooked in Navy. Let me go try it out. Did that. It was a 3-month school or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. And I came back to Jacksonville, did some cooking, and then I went to FSCJ into the apprenticeship program. I did that for about a year, And then I just started cooking at different high-end restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was doing private catering. I worked for a catering company, and I worked for the convention center. So throughout my career, I've worked in all aspects. I worked at the country club. You know what I'm saying? It's just different things to do like that. And then
Yeah.
when I became, did my own thing, it was a whole nother world.
I'm sure it was. Yeah. What after going? So you did like the 3-month thing, and then you did the year at FSCJ with their culinary program. What are your thoughts then for culinary school for young cooks? Is it something that you would recommend, or just kind of jump into the industry?
Oh, you're gonna get me in trouble.
It's okay. I'm sure a lot of the people you work with right now are watching.
Yeah. So here's my thought. Culinary school is good for those that are looking for something to do next. So like I work with these high school culinary students, and the ones that are on the culinary competition teams, I just think they need to be they should be mentored a lot better because they already know they want to be in this field.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get me in trouble with this one. I feel that's let's do this. I would rather go to a local college than go to the big schools. And the reason why is because when you go to the big schools, they come out, I'm gonna say some of them come out with such arrogance and such, thinking they're the best thing since sliced bread. And when they start working with anybody else, that they treat them like they're beneath them. And when I was in culinary school in Kissimmee, the chefs would not hire people from the CIA because when it came to actually in the middle of dinner, that 6:30 to 8:30 time slot, they couldn't handle it, and they would go and say they want to expedite versus stay on the line. Now, granted, I have a lot of my friends with the CIA. I get online with them anytime, anywhere, the whole 9 yards. But I think at a junior college, you get more attention because you're not as a big of school as the big ones are. So you go to junior college, it's like your instructors, you can talk to them, and it's okay to talk to them about things like that. So it's not such a big campus. So yeah, I would like to see more culinary schools allow more industry chefs to come in as a guest chef, as an adjunct professor, and stuff like that, so they can get both sides of the industry. Your culinary instructor is a great person, but it needs to be that both sides, knowledge and OJT.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that 100%. I didn't have him in culinary school, but a lot of my friends did. Dennis Chan from Blue Bamboo, because he teaches at FSCJ, and I thought that was really cool that he has his own restaurant, and he's been in the business for a while, and then also teaching. So speaks volumes for
and working with Dennis, you're going to get to see a lot of product that you don't see in other people's restaurants. Because it's an Asian style restaurant, you'll get to see what he does, how he does it, the product, the presentations, and everything like that. So yeah, Dennis is a great guy to do an internship with. And I've had students do internships with me, and I loved it because when they went back to school, they had such a round education with me because I don't have a restaurant. So I would let them. I would introduce them to cooks and chefs that worked at restaurants, small restaurants, big restaurants, and then they get to see more of the industry versus go work at a hotel, go work at a restaurant.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I did my first internship. I just did at TPC where I was working at the time, just to kind of knock it out, and then
Right.
I didn't really have anything specific that I wanted to do for my second one. A lot of people were doing like Yellowstone and stuff, and the big stuff didn't really interest me.
Yeah.
I had Michelin on my mind. That's where I wanted to go. And so luckily one of my professors, Chef Oman, made that happen for me, and I got to go to Ireland to go to a 2-star, and that was quite eye-opening for sure.
Well, Chef Bowman always did that. I used to work with Chef Bowman at the Marriott, and he had this exchange program going on. So yeah, it was good that you go over there. You get to go over there and see what else is over there. So now when people tell you about Irish cuisine, you're like, that's not Irish. That's American all day long.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't see that much of like authentic Irish food. The restaurant I went to was like super French, so I wasn't really seeing like that much traditional Irish food. So even eating out and about, I ate a lot of fish and chips, but that's not even like Irish. But they didn't have. Everyone thinks they're around just eating like potatoes and corned beef and cabbage, and like that wasn't anywhere. At least, I mean, I was in Dublin, so I mean, maybe that was why. But I didn't see like on any menu I went to at any restaurant, I didn't see corned beef on any menu. So
I
don't know if either way. So I wouldn't say I'm an expert in Irish cooking, but all right, so powering on here. So you were on the Food Network. I got to see your episode when you came on the ship with me. It was really cool. How were you selected to be on the Food Network? That seems like quite the feat.
Actually, I was hit up on Facebook. They hit me up on Facebook and was like, "Hey, we got this new show that we're developing, and we would like to know, would you like to be, a part of it?" And I was like, "What kind of show is it?" They said, went into details, and then I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." One of the main reasons I did take it was because I didn't have to stay with anybody. Now you can appreciate this. I tell people all the time, Top Chef, Hell's Kitchen, all these shows that you have to spend, a month with or whatever like that. I don't want to do that shit. And for the number one reason is when you're in the Navy, you have no choice who is in your compartment. You have no choice. And you get the snorers, you get the drunks, you get everything under the sun, and you have no choice. So now that I have a choice, I don't want to do a show where I got to stay with people that eventually or whatever I may not like, may not have a great fit or whatever. Now I know why they put people together that don't fit. It's because it makes good television. But I'm not one of those that's going to be like, oh well, I'm not going to show off and nothing like that. I just, as soon as you tell me I got to spend 13 weeks with somebody, it's a wrap. I'm done. You ain't got to tell me nothing else. I'm not doing that. I've spent 4 years sleeping with people I had no idea. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. I mean, I'm on like the other side of it, because I feel bad. I'm a really bad snorer because I have sleep apnea. And so all my bunkmates in the Navy were in charge of making sure I didn't die every night. They were on watch. And so if I would ever go on one of those, it was a good thing. They were really great. I actually was really lucky that everyone in my rack area, the bunks it was fine. We were all cool with each other for the most part. But yeah, so if I ever went on one of those shows where I had to stay with people for so long, I'd be like, maybe they would just put me by myself just to so everyone else could sleep properly.
Nope. Because I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, I know.
Everything they do, people always ask me, are these shows scripted? It's not, but it is. If you snore and they ask me, I say, oh, I hate people who snore. You and I will be together, bro. You and I, they're like, yeah, they're gonna put these two together. It's just gonna make some kind of great television.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what would you say is more stressful, being in a restaurant, working service, or being on a food competition on TV?
would say being in a restaurant.
Okay.
And the reason I said now, here's the thing. I can only talk about my experience on my particular, because there's some shows out there you gotta do some crazy stuff. But with my show, I kept saying to myself, is this all they want me to do is actually cook? That's all. Just cook something. And knock on wood, I got the episode that wasn't too crazy. The only thing that was crazy with me is the first thing we had to do was cook mealworms, crickets, and scorpions. And they brought an EMT on the set because scorpions are considered a crustacean, and I'm allergic to shellfish. So they were like, they brought an EMT on the set for me and everything. But like I said, as long I have to do is just cook. I don't have to do crazy stuff. I'm good with that. I can do this all day long. You know, no problem at all. I've seen other shows with the Extreme Chef series that I was so happy I didn't get that one, but I got the Mexican Showdown.
Yeah. So how did it feel to win? I mean, being the winner, had to feel pretty cool. And I remember you telling me all the contestants were like talking mad trash on you like the whole time, and you just kept your cool. And it's like, I bet then winning after that had to just been like, I mean, just a finger in there. So, like, there you go, everybody.
So here's the thing about that. So when I got to LA, because we shot in LA, the girl who was on my show, she was in the truck when I got in there. And as soon as I got in the truck, she started talking smack to me. And I started talking smack to her, and I was like, you know what? Let me stop, because I know me, I go overboard, and she'd be like, oh my god. But yeah, she was talking smack to me and everything. And then I asked her, I said, so what do you do? She said, oh, I don't want to tell you because it might give it away. And I'm thinking, like, whatever you tell me, it doesn't matter, because we all got to be downstairs at 6 o'clock in the morning. I can't learn that stuff overnight. And then when we started everything, she was just like, I can do this and I can do that. And my whole concept of cooking is this. I don't have to tell you anything. I can just show you everything. So when I won on the show, what made me feel more excited than anything, the money, anything, was this. Every chef has a philosophy on how they cook. And to have my philosophy go up against someone that graduated from the CIA, that was getting ready to open up their 5th restaurant, I wanted to see if my thought process, my theory of cooking, can outdo someone who went to the CIA and everything like that. And when I won, it was like, oh my God, it works. I was excited about that.
Really?
Now the guy that I lost to, he was kind of beside himself, especially when he found out I didn't graduate from a culinary school.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And what I always say is, I tell the students, I tell cooks, my passion overrode his ego. So I have a passion for cooking. I don't have an ego for cooking. So, and that comes out through my food, through my presentations, through my interviews, the whole 9 yards. Like, that dude literally loves what he does.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I feel like that always prevails. Like, the passion will always prevail over ego every time. Because usually people with giant egos usually can't really bring up or can't really back up what they're talking about. Not all the time, but there's some people, unfortunately, that are so good they always get there. It's kind of like Conor McGregor. Like, he would always be a big shit talker and all this stuff because he was undefeated. But hey, he lost. He got knocked out. So
and he lost. He's lost a few times. Yeah, I think that one of the things that I love to do is get a young cook, was a culinary student or just a young cook or whatever, and just give them those extra knowledges, those extra golden nuggets, them get to the next level. Because I look at it like this here. I won't be doing this. I'm old enough where, I only have a couple more years to do this, like standing up and all that stuff there. So I love to take the knowledge that I have and dump it into someone that deserves it. That's a young kid, and put them in a position where they they know what they're doing, and when they go to a job interview, they're like, "You're too young to do this. How do you know about this?" No, this is how it's done, and that's what I love to see. Now, the other thing I like doing too is finding young ladies that have a passion for cooking and just dump a whole bunch of information on there and let them go in the kitchen and run circles around somebody. Oh, that is hilarious. Because the dudes be like, she's a girl. Okay, watch this. Boom.
Yeah.
She go in and run circles around the dudes.
Yeah. I feel like I was, even in culinary school, there was a couple of female cooks that there was one girl that worked at Salt at the Ritz-Carlton, which was like, I was like, oh man, this girl knows what's up. I'm backing up. Like, I'm not even touching her because she's working there. That's top in this area. And so, but even going to TPC, like most of the line cooks that were running stuff were girls. And then Juanita, my sous chef, came in and she taught me so much. And so I feel like I was just really lucky in the beginning to have powerful female figures in the kitchen that really showed me how to do a lot versus men. I mean, there obviously were men in the kitchen too, but as far as working the line and everything, the ladies taught me what was up. So
out in Seattle, when I was recruiting for a culinary school in Seattle, I found out that there are more female chefs in the Pacific Northwest than anywhere else in the country. So, and those women are phenomenal, from Oregon to Washington State to Idaho. I mean, it's just some really great women female chefs out there that's doing some really nice things, especially ones that I hung out with in Seattle. They do different things. They did Italian. They was doing vegan. Opened up a kitchen that is just helping the community out. So there's a lot of that going on in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. Pacific Northwest has been pretty famous for being extremely progressive across the board with so many things. So just makes sense.
It's crazy.
Everything starts in the West Coast and makes the way over.
When I first moved out there, man, I thought that these people were the biggest food snobs in the world until I found out.
That's true.
Well, but here's the thing, though. The reason I thought that was because I was the East Coast. I was a Florida chef, which means if I give you strawberries in June, you want them again in July, and they can just show up. But in the Pacific Northwest, they know it's embedded in their DNA to know that there's a season for everything, and that's when they like to eat things. For the season, there's farmers markets all over the place, different neighborhoods and things like that. So, I said, my time in Seattle, I tell you, I learned so much in those 11 years out there. Then, it changed my whole philosophy and thought about cooking. So, I
definitely need to go out there and experience it more. I've only really on the West Coast, I've been to San Diego for being in the Navy for a few months, and that was it. I haven't experienced the Pacific Northeast much, like Oregon and Seattle. I haven't experienced that. I definitely want to go out there.
It is amazing. It is amazing out there.
I believe it. So there are so many things that have happened over the last few years and everything, but a lot of things happening with different cultures and kind of cultural appropriation. What are your thoughts on cultural appropriation in cooking? Because there have been, at least in Chicago, there has been backlash of certain chefs making certain cuisines and people not liking it. And so, what are your thoughts on all that?
Ooh, wow.
I know, going deep.
Well, I have a couple things. So
Okay.
appropriating, let's say soul food, and there's a white guy doing soul food. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my only thought is this: when there comes to talking about Southern cuisine, I don't like the fact that all they do is pick white chefs to do it, even though they grew up in the South, even though they
Mm-hmm.
did all these things. The problem with that is it cuts out it cuts out the minority chefs, the blacks, the Puerto
Mm-hmm.
Ricans, the Mexicans. It cuts out all those people there because the white folks get Southern food, they get American cuisine, they get barbecue, they get all this stuff here. But then you go down to the base and like, where does this come from and how is it doing? And when
Mm-hmm.
you see them doing these things, you sit back and you literally have to think about this. It's it can be upsetting that here you are a Southern chef, but yet because you don't have the name and the recognition as this white chef or French chef,
Mm-hmm.
um, you don't get that slot. And then if you do get the slot, I've heard this before. Can you? They wanted Southern cuisine, but they're like, well, can you make it a little bit more Southern? Can you make it a little bit more this and more glamorous and things like that? Which
Hmm.
is somewhat disturbing because here's someone directing you. They can't cook at all, but they're
Yeah.
trying to direct you and say, I need you to do that Southern food a little bit different and take it this way and take. But you don't know how to cook. You're looking at it
Yeah.
aesthetically versus from a root point of view. And
Yeah.
so
Definitely. Absolutely.
and now for me, I do my base of cooking is Puerto Rican and Southern.
Mm-hmm.
That's my base. I go other places too. But everything I learned how to make, I've learned from those people. I didn't get it from a book and say, well, let me try this, let me try that.
Yeah.
But like I said, as long as whoever is doing it, as long as they give them the right information of where it came from, the history of it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're bringing it to the light, that's okay. But when you just do it, put it on your menu, and people go there and like, oh my God, I think that's just. I'm even though it's good, it's like you're making money. Here's how it looks: the white man is making more money off the black folks once again.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Across the board, it's like, okay, that's what you're doing. This one of the things that black chefs have a problem with is this: we come on as the sous chef. There's a white chef there. That white chef leaves or goes somewhere for drug rehab or alcoholism or anything like that. And what happens? They don't move that black sous chef up. They bring in another white chef,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
black sous chef has to train this chef on how to do the job versus giving the job to the guy who's been there all this time. So
Right.
that's for me. That's one thing that I hear a lot of black chefs talk about, and I think that it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. You put all this work in
Yeah.
and
I can
everything like that,
imagine.
training these chefs, but yet they won't give you the job.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's hopefully, I feel like our I mean, obviously, I'm straight white male. I haven't had to deal with a lot of these issues. Unfortunately, I've been with all the recent events. I do my best to be better and better myself in these
Well,
issues and
here's the thing
everything.
though, but chef, here's my issue with some restaurants not using black chefs. And I'm gonna go back to football and Bear Bryant. Bear Bryant was the first guy to bring on black football players in the SEC. Why?
Hmm.
Because he wanted to win. He wanted the best people. And that's what this industry should want. The best people, not somebody that, you know what, I'm going to bring them on, even though they don't know as much as the other person. I'm bringing them. If you want a great team, I don't care what it is, sports, cooking, anything, you hire the right people. If the right person happens to be a Black woman, you hire her for that job. And when she gets in that job, let her do her job and not everybody try to haze her or any Black chef or cook that come in. You want to haze them. That's why a lot of chefs, a lot of Black chefs have gone on to do their own thing, because they're like, when I'm in the restaurant, I feel like I don't get treated right. I'm getting written up for the most craziest things. So I'm gonna go do my own thing. And it comes out where come Black History Month, you see certain chefs get called. And then when you see, like, there was an event up here, I don't know say where, but they had all Southern chefs, but none of them, there was only one Black dude. And I'm sitting there like, I'm only 45 minutes away. They didn't call me. They didn't call other Black chefs in the surrounding area, but you brought one in from Kentucky. You brought a white chef in from Kentucky. You tell me you ain't got one in Georgia that you can take there?
Right.
That's what blows my mind is you go everywhere else. Like, people always say this, where all the Black chefs at, right? They ask the right question, but the wrong people.
Okay.
If you ask the right people, like myself, I'll tell you about chefs that you never heard of, but they're doing some amazing things. But everybody goes to the ones that's been on the Food Network, the ones that's been on, who has a PR team, has money behind them. Well, I always tell my kids this: I'd rather be good than famous. Just because you're famous don't mean you're good.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Give me a chef that's bare bones, that's doing some amazing food as a passion versus trying to get an ego and get paid and paid and paid and paid and getting greedy. But then when they go to restaurants, they treat the cooks like they're their servants. I don't like that. When I go to restaurants as a guest chef, the first person I need to go talk to is the dishwasher.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like I said, I love being a guest chef at a restaurant because I get to work with a new team, show them some things. I'm not hiding any recipes or anything like that. Because when I was a young cook, that used to happen to me. People would come in as a guest chef. I need you to dice this and slice that. They didn't tell me what it was for or anything like that. So I said, whenever I get that position, I'm not going to be that way. I'm going to be like, hey, here's something we're going to do. Let me get your input on that.
Yeah. And it's a good way to do it. I feel like the industry is changing little by little for the better, as far as not treating cooks like crap and doing their best to make sure the work-life balance is a little bit better. And I feel like there are chefs out there who are trying to not, I guess, live up to that like chef life mentality that like, if I say something, you better do it and go to full lengths to make sure it gets done. But I definitely talk to chefs that don't want anything to do with that. They don't want to be the tyrant. They want to be the leader,
right? Which
I think is good.
Well, for me, I've had this philosophy for years. I'd rather build paycheck cooks than I'd rather build a passion cook than a paycheck cook. Because if you have a passion, you come to work with me because you're gonna learn something. You'll get introduced to a new chef, a new technique, or anything like that. Paycheck cooks just show up just to get a paycheck, and that's it. They can care less on who they're meeting. If they learn anything, they're like, all right, we're learning just to put it on the menu and keep it going. So I think if more chefs would spend more time training their cooks versus telling them what to cook, I think the food scene would be a little different. Because like here in Jacksonville, I always say this: I wish the food scene was more like our microbeer scene. The microbeer scene, man, everybody's doing their own thing. It's beautiful. It's different. It's strange. It's like, what the hell? But the fact that they went creative with that. So my thing is this: if your restaurant is not educating their customers with new ideas and new techniques and new flavors and things like that. If a restaurant is not doing that with their customers, what are they doing with their cooks? Nothing. Here's your recipe. Do not change anything and cook it like this here. So they don't know how to be creative. They really don't know how to, because they don't get the opportunity, because that chef is like, do as I say do and don't vary from it. Now, there are some chefs that will train their cooks and things like that. I love those guys. But then there's those that their menu stays the same. They don't want to change. They don't want to hire within. They bring in their buddies to be the sous chef, and it don't work out because the team is not there. So there's a lot of those types of things that I think the industry should change, but they won't, because it works out for them. I always say this: the system that is in place is not broken. It works perfectly for who it was designed for.
That's a fair statement. That's a fair statement. So, backtrack a little bit, because we were talking about black chefs and everything. Obviously, you being a black man, like, what challenges did you face, either growing up or just getting in the industry? What challenges did you face for just being black?
No one wanted to give me an opportunity to show them what I could do. And when I did get in, I had to really prove myself to my bosses, the other white cooks. And at one point it was very overwhelming that every time I go to a kitchen, I'm the only black in the kitchen, and the bosses or whatever, they would try to make it uncomfortable as they could for me, and it would frustrate me so badly. And and it comes from, like I said, I just wanted to go in the kitchen and cook and learn like everybody else, but it doesn't work that way. So I had to learn their menu, and I would practice their menu by virtually cooking it at home. I would set up these little station-like things, and I would try to, emulate me cooking on the line. But like I said, it was hard. And then when I got better at it, then it got fun for me, because when somebody said, you don't know how to work the line, and all I say is, let's get on the line, and then I'm going to show you. And we're going to go from 6:30 to 8:30. I'm going to get on line from 6:30 to 8:30, and I'm going to show you what I know how to do. And they were like, oh, wow. I was promoted to a sous chef. Then the guy came back and took the sous chef from me and gave it to another guy, because they asked him first, and when he found out they gave it to me, he was mad. So come New Year's Eve, I showed the boss that I knew what I was doing, and he apologized to me and said, well, I was only going on with what he said, what the other sous chefs said. Like I said, when sous chefs get in positions, they need to start training their replacement. And I always tell the cooks, if you want to really advance, make your job great, and make the guy above you make his job easier. So if you're a cook, you back up your sous chef. If you're a sous chef, you back up your chef. If you can't do that, then there's something wrong in the system. And I just think that more and more cooks, when they come out of school, the problem now is when cooks come out of school, they want to go straight to the Food Network.
Yeah,
they're like,
absolutely.
oh, I can cook. But you put them on the line with somebody, and they're like, oh, no, I'm going to go ahead and do this. No, you need to do what was assigned for you to do, not what you want to do. The other thing with young cooks come out, I hear from a lot of chefs, is that when they come out of cooking school, they want to change the menu, the recipe. Like, no, dude, learn this recipe first, and then we'll let you on a special or something. But learn this one first.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I never got that when I was a little bit older, because I got out of the Navy when I was 24 24, 25. And so I went to culinary school after that. And so, you know, I was a little bit older already. But I knew the mentality of a kitchen of like, when you go somewhere new, head down, shut up. Like, you don't talk yet. You don't get to talk. Like, you don't even have a voice. Like,
cooks work for you. Look, when you have cooks work for you and they're trying to tell you, oh, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. What's your response?
I had a cook one time, and she was kind of doing something that I didn't tell her to do. It was like a different way of doing something. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, what's happening? And because she was kind of like going down, she's in the weeds. She's like, oh, there's a method to my madness. I'm like, you don't have methods. I have methods that you need to follow. And until you figure out my methods, then we can talk. But do my methods first.
Wow.
Like, I usually don't like come down. I usually don't come down. Yeah, because it's like if you're struggling, and normally I wouldn't tell you to do something unless I know it works, because I was in that station and I know it works.
Right.
So, and that's why I was able to move up, because I figured out ways that would work for a certain station. And so, like, if I'm teaching you how to do this, this is the way I want it done, because I know it's going to work. I don't know how you work yet. I don't know how you can get things done. So just do it how I do it, and then we can talk. But I want to see you get it down first. Yeah, or I mean, if they show up and they just do it on their own, that's like, cool, keep doing your thing. That's fine. But if you're struggling, then it's like, you need to do what I'm telling you to do.
You know, there's a lot of cooks that they come out with this ego that, like my buddy in Seattle, he told me that one of the cooks came in and was like, "Oh, I don't cut onions." What? They're like, "Yeah." We're like, "Are you allergic to them?" Like, "No, I just don't want to cut onions." You don't want to be in this industry. You really don't.
Yeah. If you don't want to cut onions, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah. I mean, onion is like the staple of a lot of different cuisines. Like, you're just gonna like. It's not like you're allergic to them or anything. You just don't want to cut them.
I would think onions are used in every base recipe, like in every cuisine in any region that's gonna have an onion in it. So to say that you don't cut onions is that's just, you don't want to cook them. You don't want to cook them.
But it's like that though. You know, these young cooks. Like I was in Oregon doing the Bite of Oregon with the ACF chapter out there, and this student, I asked her to do something. And she just literally looked at me and said, "No, I'm not doing it." And then, my blood started to boil.
I'm sure. That's where that dominant chef comes into play. We're like, wait, what did you just say? You just said no? That's not.
But here's the thing, though. When she said it, she walked away like, I told him. And then I kept my composure. And what made me snap, I ain't gonna say snap, but what made me go off was this. She came back with the look like, I knew I was gonna tell you, and she was telling one of the other students that she told me no. And I stopped her in her tracks, and I said, listen, I just read her the riot act. All the chefs were standing around watching me. Not one of them said anything. And after I got done, her chef from her school said, what happened? I told him what happened. He said, oh, okay.
Right? Yeah. Most of the time in those situations, like, it's going to be fine. Usually if I would have cooks or if they would even just try to be like a little snarky with me, if I tell them to do something and be like, oh, well, I need to do this first, I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. I made that seem like it was a question. It wasn't. That was usually my comeback, depending on my mood. That was like if I was in a good mood.
Well, I think that that being in the kitchen has its pros and cons. Mm-hmm. And from a young cook, I think that learning after they get out of culinary school, I tell them, now you know just enough to start learning now. Because what you did in culinary school was basic. And most restaurants don't even use those recipes or those techniques anymore. Mm-hmm. They use the technique, the recipes have changed. So I always tell them this, Focus on the technique, because if you learn how to braise in Jacksonville, you could go to Germany and braise. Your product may be different, but it's the same technique. And I think it get lost when it goes to when they go to restaurants and they think they graduated at the top of their class or anything like that. I'm like, listen, you don't know this industry yet.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get in here and figure out, how bad it is or how crazy it can really be. And sometimes, as you know, the craziness may not come while you're at work. After work, when you go and wind down.
After work.
That's a whole other. That's a whole other.
After service. I feel like someone could do a podcast or a show all about after service shenanigans. Like, talk about what you do after service.
I touched on it a little bit when I had my podcast, but I think you're right, because I think that like when the young kids come out to go to culinary school, especially I had this young lady, amazing cook. Now she's at Johnson & Wales. But I told her parents, I said, listen, now that your daughter is in culinary school, she's going to get a whole new set of friends. They may look weird. They may look strange. They're all good people. She's like, what do you mean? So have you seen the picture of the front of the house? What the front of the house look like, and the back of the house look like? The front of the house, everybody's dressed in it black and white. The back of the house, they all tattooed up. I said, but they're great people. They're really great. See, look, I have no tattoos. None.
I'm part of the new. I didn't get tattoos because I'm a chef. Like, I've been wanting to get tattoos since I was like 7 years old. So this is just something I wanted to do regardless. Wow. But
yeah, and I told her that, and she was like, and I told her, I said they would have piercing, they would have tattoos, but they're good people. I said, and then the other thing I find myself breaking down to the parents is this: when your kid comes home at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're not up to nothing. The same way you get out of work at 5 and you go to happy hour to like 9, 9:30, it's the same thing. When they get off at 11, 12 o'clock, they go do happy hour, and their happy hour might be playing video games with some people from other restaurants. So it's a fun industry if people are treated like people.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you start screwing over certain people, cutting them off from opportunities, cutting them off from experiences, then that's where, for me, I think it's wrong. And I totally believe this, that culture always starts at the top. So whoever's at the top of the pyramid has allowed this craziness to go on, and now it's part of the culture now.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree with that. All right, since we're about an hour 20 right now, I'll get my last question out before we get to our lightning round here. So I ask everyone this question: what is your most relied on kitchen tool besides your knife?
Besides my knife, what do I rely on?
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say, so it's an appliance, right?
Anything. I've heard spoons, veggie peeler, bench scraper, Vitamix, whatever.
You know what? For me, it's my dehydrator.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. My dehydrator.
It's a good one.
I love dehydrating stuff. That's why when people hire me to do stuff, I tell them it takes about a week or two to plan out, because I got to dehydrate something. I got pickled grapes for this event I was doing. They didn't want pickles on their plate, on their sandwich. So I did. I pickled some grapes, and they loved it. And then I made a salad dressing with the vinegar that I pickled with that. So it was a grape vinegar with olive oil. That was my dehydrator. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. All right. So now that we're through all the questions, it is time for our lightning round. Okay, lightning round. Answer as fast as you can, whatever comes to your head first. All right, number 1. What is your favorite Puerto Rican restaurant in the States?
Oh, wow. That's a um. I don't know. I've been to so many of them. I don't know.
Don't have one?
Which is no, I don't. I the
What's
ones
the
I go
last one you've
to.
been to then?
The last one I've been to was I can't remember the name of it. Oh my god, I can't remember. I can't remember the name of the restaurant. Oh, you know what? The last one I went to was Mambo's, which is a Cuban restaurant, and then there's another one. What's the Puerto Rican restaurant I went to? It's I can't remember the name of it. Man, you're gonna make me feel bad now because I'm doing a trip to go to Puerto Rico, so
Oh man,
I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember the name.
That's all right. That's okay. There's too many for you, I'm sure.
There's a lot here, and here's the thing: there's a lot of good ones here. So okay.
Yeah. All right, number 2. If you didn't become a chef, what career would you have liked to have?
Yes. I would be a wrestling coach.
Wrestling coach.
Oh yeah. I love wrestling. I wrestled in high school, and I coached. I was a volunteer coach out in Seattle. I'll be a wrestling coach. I've always wanted to be a truck driver for some reason.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then my favorite job is I want to be a security guard.
All right.
Why security guard? The security guard is because all they do is do this. Hey, where you going? All right, go ahead.
I think that'd be so boring to be a security guard. It'd be like, yeah, I could be a security guard. That'd be crazy. I'd drive myself crazy. All right, number 3. What exotic animal would you like to own if it was legal?
Oh, either a hyena, a hyena, or probably a lioness, the female lion. Yeah,
female lion. All right. I was waiting for like tiger or anything like that from, everyone saw Tiger King and realized you could buy a tiger for like $2,000 in the States. So,
well, I like the hyenas because of one certain trait they have that I feel is like what people need is they can run. They'll tire their opponent out. They run and run and run, and like a cheetah is the fastest. Once it hit its top speed, it slows down. Well, a hyena, when it runs, it goes for miles and miles and miles.
It's got that stamina. All right, that's fair.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right, number 4. What is your guilty pleasure TV show?
My guilty pleasure would probably be American Dad.
Okay.
Yeah, American Dad. Yeah.
Okay.
Or Boondocks. When Boondocks was on, I still watch that. I still watch Boondocks on the reruns. But yeah. Okay.
That's a good show. All right, number 5. What would be your weapon of choice in a zombie apocalypse?
Weapon of choice, probably a shotgun.
Okay. It's a good one. It's a good one. All right, number 6. Smooth or crunchy peanut butter?
Smooth.
Yeah, same. I don't like crunchy peanut butter. It's butter. It's supposed to be smooth. I don't need in my butter.
See, you say it's supposed to be smooth.
It's supposed to be smooth. That's why I don't understand. I don't know why there's crunchy peanut butter. I don't get it. All right, number 7. What is your most referenced cookbook?
Oh, probably Morimoto's cookbook.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I'm a huge fan of Morimoto.
Yeah, he's a beast. All right, number 8. What is your number 1 restaurant on your bucket list? Like that top restaurant you'd love to go to?
I would like to say there's Jose Andres, his little restaurant in Vegas.
Okay.
I want to go because I'm a fan of Jose Andres as well. So
yeah, I
like his small, his approach to small, intimate, and make it over the top. I like that concept.
Nice. All right, number 9. What has been one of your favorite charities that you've worked with?
Oh wow, that's been a lot. So right now I'm a board member with Community Health Outreach, and that's a great organization that deals with distributing food. They have a pantry. They have free medical, free dental, and baby love. So when I'm doing my events coming up, I will be doing a diaper drive to help them out. Okay. So yeah, Community Health Outreach is the one that I've been involved with, and it impacts a lot. So I like them.
Nice, awesome. All right, number 10. What is your favorite season for menu development?
I like the fall. Because one of the things I like about fall, you get a lot of root vegetables and everything. But as you're getting, for some reason, for me, when I start getting to the springtime, my mind starts seeing more colors and vibrant of the same thing I did for the fall. Because the fall colors are, orange and yellow. I mean, the little earth tone colors. But in the spring, so that's how I determine how spring and summer it is, when it's brighter than what my fall and winter was.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like fall too. I really like the hardiness, but then you still get some really good like vegetables and fruits that are not like super hardy either. Like you get like the really good apples, pears, and everything like that. And so it's kind of like a good mix between like something really heavy and really light, which I enjoy.
Well, I love making soups. And because I'm an outdoor camper, I'll put my tripod up and hang a soup from over the fire and sit around and listen to music, and everybody thinks it smells so good in my backyard. So,
yeah. All right, number 11. What is the best gangster movie?
The best gangster. I would say Carlito's Way, or one of my favorites is what's the one called oh my God, with Joe Pesci in it? Goodfellas.
Goodfellas, yeah, I'll say Goodfellas. Yeah, that's a classic. That's a good one. Or Casino too. That's got Joe Pesci too.
Oh, Brooke, you know what? A Bronx Tale. Cannot forget A Bronx Tale.
Okay.
Love that movie.
All right. Number 12. Who would play you in a movie about your life?
Oh, that'd be easy. That'd be Alfonso Ribeiro. Everybody say he and I look alike. So sure, let's go. Alfonso. Yeah, they say we look alike a little bit.
Okay, I can see it.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. What is the worst movie about chefs in the industry?
The worst movie?
The worst movie.
My goodness. All the movies that I watched, I haven't seen one that was like, what the hell? So yeah, even with Big Night, Chef. I mean, I have not personally seen a bad show about cooks. Everyone I've seen, I was like, okay, I can relate to it in some way, shape, or form.
Okay,
the only cooking shows I don't watch is baking shows, because I don't bake. But as far as everything else, yeah, I'm
okay.
Well, you know what? Hold on, I take that back. You know what? You're gonna get me in trouble so bad. Never mind. I'm belay my last.
Not gonna say it.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have for you, Chef. I really appreciate you coming on and talking to me, sharing your story with everyone. You have a lot of really good insights in the industry. You've been doing it for a while now, so Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you had me on, and like I said, it's one of these things where I think people need to hear it from a different perspective. You may not like what I say or my stories or anything like that, but it's what goes on in the industry. Most people don't know about it because they either have blinders on or they're the ones that's committing that atrocity of trying to keep black chefs from doing anything, misappropriating and not telling the truth of where it came from, those kind of things. So yeah. So before I go, can I talk about my website?
Yeah, go for it. I didn't mean to ask you about it before. We were just kind of running short of time. I didn't want to keep you too long or anything. But yeah, please go for it.
Dude, I love talking about food. So my website is chefamadeus.net. And you can get my spices. These are brand new out here. It's a Southern Rub, the Chino 5, and the Chino 5 Little Bump and Southern Rub. Great for it. The Southern Rub has been a big staple because it goes with the ribs and chicken. So a lot of people buy it by the pound because they cook so much. And then if you go to my website, you'll see a lot of pictures, and you can always reach out to me through my website or speaking engagements or anything like that. And like I said, it's a pleasure for me to be able to talk to other chefs, other cooks, other restaurants, because I love being a guest chef in a restaurant, because it's like I have a team that I can coach and leave some knowledge with them. Because my thing is this, I tell everybody this: when can't cook anymore, I want to be that chef. When I walk into a restaurant, everybody says, the wait staff will say, I don't know who that dude is, but the chef said he always get a table in the restaurant. That's it. I set down those culinary footprints that people can follow, and I'm always there to help somebody out.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom says thank you for helping me in my culinary.
Oh, you're welcome. Yay!
My mom always watches. All right. Yeah.
That's what mom do.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks again, Chef. For everyone who's watching, thank you for watching and being here. Check out Chef Amadeus' website, order his spices, all that good stuff. Also, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share it with everyone you know. I don't care if you like it or not. Just share it. Get the word out. We have guests every week. I'm trying to think who I have in the next couple of weeks, but yeah, a little blank there. I was trying to think about who I have scheduled for the next 2 weeks. But
and you got a blank going on, and you ask me these questions off the top of my head. I'm like, I mean, the crazy part is I know what the restaurants are. I just can't remember the name of them.
Right, I know. It happens.
Now, if you ask me the best Puerto Rican food I've ever tried, that's a different story.
I feel like that's a whole other episode.
I know where I got that one from. Right. But yeah, man, I appreciate you asking me to be on. I appreciate it.
Of course. All right. Well, everyone, I hope everyone has a great rest of their night, great rest of their week, and we'll see you next time. So have a good night, everybody. Take care.